Okay. As you can see here, we are going to use the ThinLink. But first, I will talk a little bit about Jupyter on the compute nodes. And the idea here is to start Jupyter with an interactive session from the remote desktop website. Just like before, it is important to note we have these project IDs. We are going to use them in a little while. Also, the storage space, you know, that is where you have put your exercises. So as an introduction, Jupyter is a web application which, among other things, will allow literature programming for Python. That means it allows you to create document where there is Python code shown and where you can run it and where you can see the results. And you can have text in it as well. It can also be used to other things as well. You can share files in it, so there's a file manager. So how will you use Jupyter? Well, Jupyter is started and run on a server. That is, for instance, it could be an interactive node, or you could run it with a batch script on a compute node, and in any case, it's displayed in a web browser like Firefox. If you are using a remote desktop website, then it can be slow. Examples like Rackham GUI or Kebnekaise -TL, that is both through ThinLink. And for HPC2N, the Jupyter Lab, which is only accessible from within HPC2N, means you cannot really do anything about the slowness, but ThinLink is not that slow, so it's reasonably okay. For UPPMAX, there is a way to locally install a ThinLink client to speed up Jupyter. And you can see the UPPMAX documentation on how to do that. You can also run the ThinLink client, of course, for HPC2N, but you still need to run everything Jupyter within the ThinLink client. So then I will go through here down to the information for Kebnekaise here. So I will start ThinLink, and this is the client. I have it installed here. I am running it on Linux Ubuntu, but it can run on all Linux versions. It can also run on Mac, and it can run on Windows. And you can also run it from a browser, but in this case, I'm starting it from the client. And you should put in your password here, because while it will ask for the password, otherwise it will fail if you don't put it here. So we'll do that. So I'm connecting. It will take a short time. It takes longer the first time, but I have started it before, so it shouldn't take that long. I'm going to put it here. Good. And since I need to start it on a compute node, I will need to create a submit file and then load the Jupyter Lab module and its prerequisite inside of it. And it's also possible to load other Python modules, of course, and it's even possible to install your own. You can run virtual environments and other things with it. So let's start a terminal here. And the terminals are found here under System Tools, the Mate terminal. You could click and hold while dragging it to the screen, as you can see I have done. That creates a shortcut, but I'm just starting it from here now. So now I have a screen here. So I will do ML Spider Jupyter Lab. And you should know that ML is short for module load also here. So let's see what we have. And you can see there are several versions of Jupyter Lab, and I'm going to use Jupyter Lab 4.5, this one here. So let's see how we load it. Module, Spider, Jupyter Lab. And you can see you need to load GCC Core 12.3.0. You can also just load GCC because the GCC core is included with it. So let's try do this and load it. And see here, you can see it's loaded here. It has a Jupyter server and it has Jupyter Lab. Okay, we now need to make a submit script or a submit file. Now we'll do that. And in this case, I'm going to use nano, and I can call it anything. I'm going to call it my Jupyter lab.sh. Or I will put a 2 because I already had a file with that name. And I am going to copy this content here and put it here. And I will quickly go through it. I am adding this project ID. I'm asking for 1 core. I'm telling it to run for 5 hours. I think I'm actually going to set it down to 1 hour, so I'm sure that it will start soon. And then I'm loading what I need to start here. And after that, I'm giving the commands to the Jupyter Lab to start. And in this case, I don't want it to run a browser. I just want it to serve on a compute node. And I do that with this line here. So I hold down Control and press X, and I say I want to save it. And then I say yes to this. Good. And now I am going to submit it. And you can also see here, I wrote something about the flags. This lab launches the Jupyter Lab environment, and no browser stops it from opening a browser on the screen, which it shouldn't, because we don't want to run it on the login node. And then we give an IP address, which will be the host name. And the host name is the one that it will be assigned when we get a host, a compute node. So I will submit this, my Jupyter Lab 2. And let's see if it is running. It is actually already running, so that's good. So let's see what we got here. I am using this command to get all the files I have with slurm and the newest put last. So this command here, -LART, it lists the files in long format and it sorts them by time. So this is the newest one here, this one. So let's open it in Nano and see how it looks. And you can see here, in order to access the server, and you can see it looks like the file example I have here. And to access it, you will copy and paste the URL that is similar to this one. You can also use this, but it's safer to use this one here. And if you look at it here, you can see that is this one. And I need the full one. And I will see if I can copy that. I am not sure how this works in Nano. I don't usually use Nano, so let's try and extend this. I am actually going to go out of it and use cat instead. Like this, because then I'm sure I can get the full one here. So I'm copying this one here, mark it, copy, and then I start a Firefox here. I have made a shortcut. You can do that with click and hold and then drag it to, for instance, the desktop here. Okay, I'm going to put this here. And in a little while, it should start, as you can see. Yes. And here you can see you have your Jupyter notebook that you can work with. And you can also make it slightly larger, I think. Yes. But yeah, it has a file server here, and it also has these things here where you can launch, for instance, Python 3 notebooks and things from it. So you can work with it just as you would otherwise if you have used Jupyter before. And when you have you can also shut it down when you have finished doing this. You can do it with file and shut down. And I'm going to do that now because I'm not going to work with it now. I just wanted to show you how you start it up. And I confirm shut down like this. Now the server has stopped on the compute node. And in order to use it again, you would have to relaunch it. That is started again on the compute node with starting the batch script again. It is also possible to use extra Python packages in it as well, of course. And to do that, it is easiest if you load them in this batch script. So say you wanted to use something like NumPy, that means that you would also load the SciPy bundle. Maybe you need matplotlib, you would load that, and so on. And yeah, you just submit it, and you again get a output file that contains something that looks like this, that starts with the host name. Copy that, put it in a file in Firefox or some other browser, and then you can work with it just the same way. If you have Python packages you installed yourself,